cavity search.
Welcome to the Sidekick Show where I'm getting arrested live on TV.
I'll tell you a story about once where that actually happened to me live on the radio, but I'll say that for another day.
Yeah, all right.
it was a stunt, but needless to say, yeah,
didn't work out for you.
No, well, I was put in the back of a squad car, and then I had a police escort taking me back to the station. It was quite funny, but that's for another day. Hey, John,
you got a free ride. You got police Uber.
That was before I was Poober. How's it going, buddy?
I'm all right. I'm chilling. It's Monday. We just got off our weekend. It's hella cold. I don't know how cold it is over by you, but it's hella cold over here.
Yeah, there was quite the wind whipping off the lake. As I was walking the dog, you can hear the wind coming off the waves smashing. So it is a cold, chilly night. We are entering into the cold depths of winter, the desperate, sad effects of winter. So hopefully, though, if you're out for a walk in the evening and you're seeing lots of Christmas lights, it's cheering you up. You're going to see a lot of lights in red and blue. And you know what else is red and blue, John?
Yeah, Superman.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, buddy.
Superman, yeah. Shout outs to those guys and gals who decorate their homes. That's friggin' awesome. Shout outs to Mariah Carey, who's going to be all over the radio for the next 2 months and a bit. So shout out to my girl going back to #1 again with a song from I don't know how many years ago or how many decades ago. But apparently you can't stop it. Will we ever live to see the day where All I Want for Christmas is off the charts, Rob? Do you predict that ever?
No, I don't think so. I think something will eventually usurp it. There were songs from the
in
80s.
the #1 spot, but it's not going to go away, right?
Listen, there's songs from the 80s, like the Child Benefit, that song when you had the whole group came together.
Yeah, you still Wham's on that, right? George Michael and stuff.
Yeah, so you still hear all that stuff. So I think.
What's the name of that song? Don't you know it's Christmas or something like that?
Yeah, don't they know it's Christmas? Yeah.
Yeah, don't they know it's Christmas? Look at that. Yeah. All those songs except for I think "Baby It's Cold Outside" might have got canceled for a year or two. I don't know if it's ever going to get canceled for 1
year. And no, it came back last year. Last year it got un-Me Too'd. So it's back. Oh, Frasier. Hey, but welcome everybody. We're not talking. This is not the Heroes World Christmas Sidekick Show. Not yet.
It's not.
Right? It will be soon. But welcome everybody to the Sidekick Show. I am joined by the man that makes this whole entire thing run, and we're all better for it, Mr. John Ho.
I press a couple buttons. It's not that big a deal, Rob. We can. I'm just here,
just like probably. And I'm your other, I guess the co-host, the goof in the chair, Rob Gaudette. Thanks for joining. Listen, we are entering, John. I don't know if you know this, if you saw it today, but there's a lot of chatter about the upcoming Spider-Man No Way Home. They've released a whole bunch of TV spots that are flooding the internet. I'm doing my best to not watch
like 5 or 7 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I saw some people post videos of 7 TV spot trailer reactions, and I'm like, that seems excessive, but good for you guys.
Yeah, glad that you have the time. So on our countdown to No Way Home, we thought we would revisit the prior Spider-Man movies, which actually begs the question that John and I didn't really talk about what's coming up for next week, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But this week we decided
we're going to see how tonight goes, and if you guys are sick of Spider-Man stuff, then we'll go a different route. But if you guys are cool with this, we're going to keep going with Spider-Man. Well, right now we're covering 2002 to 2007. We'll see what comes next. Yeah,
the Raimi trilogy, and then I guess next would be the your favorite, the Andrew Garfield duo of movies. There you go, Sarah. I love that. So anyways, we are talking about Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 tonight. We revisited them. If you have no idea what we're talking about, if it's been a really long time since you've seen these movies, or if you have never seen them, which is hard to believe, but if you haven't, they're currently on Amazon Prime in Canada. Also, you can probably get them for real cheap on a video on demand service, whether it's iTunes or whatever, especially in the next couple of weeks. So before we dive deep into
how cheap do you think a copy of Spider-Man 3 on Blu-ray is? Because at one point Spider-Man 3 came with your PlayStation 2. So I wonder if there's we should look it up maybe before the show wraps if we have time on eBay or Kijiji how many people are selling Spider-Man 3 on sealed Blu-rays that they got from PS2s. But yeah, shout outs to
there's a 4K version on Amazon, $10.
$10. Okay, that's 4K. Still $10 too much. But I've got some thoughts. When we get to the third movie, I've got some thoughts on it because I did rewatch it today. Which we'll save that for later. So welcome to the Sidekick Show, folks. If you're tuning in for the first time, we are live every Monday at 8:15 right now, p.m. I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon, but we're doing that right now, Eastern Standard Time. So thank you for joining us. Live chat. If you're watching this on the replay or listening to this on the audio, tune into the live show. It's a lot of fun. We'd love to see you in the chat. We love interacting with everybody. We've got a whole bunch of our very good friends in the chat, which it just makes my week to come on here every week and be able to kind of have fun with everybody here and talk to my good friend Rob over here, who I used to see on the regular in the store like every week. So it's quite a change when things like that happen. So, shout outs to this pandemic. It happened to a lot of other good friends of ours. But it's nice that comic books come out every week. So I would see people weekly and things change. But it is what it is. So thank you for joining us. Should we get into what's new at the store, Rob?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, let's drop it like it's hot.
All right. So I've got some new stuff at the store, and then I'm going to go over some more cool statues and stuff because you guys seem to like that. And it's kind of fun to be able to bounce these types of pre-orders and things off you guys. So first things first, if you are not following us on the social media, the Instagram and Facebook, we try to post the new comic books coming out every week on there. So right now, this week in New Comic Book Day, is every Wednesday. For those of you not in the know, the new Hulk #1 is coming out by Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley. Donny Cates of Venom fame. He really elevated that Venom book to one of Marvel's best books, and now he's moving on to Hulk. So very interesting to see that. And Ryan Ottley of Invincible fame is going to bring his crazy style to Hulk. I wonder, do you think they're going to get as bloody as they do in Invincible in Hulk? Maybe I don't know if Marvel's going to go that route.
But Ottley had some. I mean, he helped revitalize the Spider-Man book, right? The Amazing Spider-Man book a few years ago. So with Nick Spencer, I think. So yeah, they might get pretty visceral. Will they get as bloody as Invincible? No. But I think they're going to get.
We'll
get
see.
Pretty crazy.
Previous run of Hulk by Al Ewing, and I think he had a couple of collaborators in there, got pretty dark.
You did,
and pretty scary. So maybe they are willing to go that step with this character. So pick up a copy this Wednesday. If you don't have a local comic shop, then you can get these books digitally as well. But we want everyone to be reading comics because that is one of the best mediums of entertainment. You can read, watch, whatever you want to call it, and create. I like to hear from you creators. So other things we got in the shop, I did post these today and got a lot of hits on them. These are stock of the new Batman. New to us. The Adventures Continue action figures, which was a line that kind of disappeared when DC Direct got kind of chopped. So all Canadian distribution kind of lost access to these. They worked, I can think, floating around in the States and stuff like that. But now we are finally getting them in Canada. So if you are an action figure collector or if you're a fan of the animated series, man, I collect certain things in action figure realm. This line was not on there, but these figures are so nice that I think I'm gonna have to start expanding my collection. Like these look incredible. Rob, I know you're not a big action figure guy, but do you appreciate the
No,
these?
I do. I'm a fan of, and it's been a long time since I've watched the animated series and then the other ones that spun out of it. But I love this style. To be very honest with you, I mean, I would probably collect the animated stuff like that. Nightfall Batman is just, I just looks wicked. So, yeah,
they're really good. The paint apps look good. They come with multiple hands, and some of them come with multiple heads. So it's kind of a shame that I think this might be the last of these types of figures, but you never know. Hopefully they'll come back to that. And then let me get this off the screen, and then I'm going to show off some cool statues and stuff. So last week we talked a little bit about Hot Toys and all those kind of fun high-end collectibles. So I'm going to show you guys some more collectibles. I'm going to bounce some ideas off you guys because we're in the pre-order stage. So some of the things I mentioned will not be out until 2022. That's just the way it is. And I will be quoting approximate prices. Those won't be final prices. So if you're interested in any of these items or products, definitely message us at the shop or message me on socials, and we can iron out the details such as release dates and all kinds of stuff like that. So, two more things that we're getting at the store. We are finally getting these black and white statues. I know Rob is a fan.
Yeah, I have. I don't
DC
have
Red
them
X.
behind me. I assure you, though, I have a whole cabinet on the other side of my office with like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. So this was a great line of kind of like
Yeah.
affordable statues. They focused on Batman. They were all done in a black and white statue. So if you're a collector and you're putting stuff on your shelf, you don't have to worry about coordinating and all that kind of stuff. Just because the black and white motif automatically makes everybody match. Shout outs to, hey, look, we haven't seen Scott in a while. Shout outs to Scott who's dropping by to say hi. But Bahamas bound. We'll have a great time, Scott.
Have fun, buddy.
We'll kind of see you later.
Bring us with you. Please.
Yeah. Where can we meet? So this is the Todd Mcfarlane Batman designed. I think it's about like 90% cape, but man, does it look good.
Yeah.
So this guy's not bad. He's a little bit bigger than your average black and white statue, so he's going to be around 180 or so right now. But this is the new 2.0 version. I'm not quite sure what the difference was in the old version, but we never really got it here in Canada. So we will have.
I believe it was the paint application on the cape. This is more of a. The other one was glossy. This is more of a like not gunmetal, but more of a whatever non-glossy application. I believe. I think that's what the difference was.
That might be better. I'd actually prefer a matte black.
Matte. Thank you. Yeah.
Batman. Yeah. And then we are getting this one. This is the Jim Lee version 3 statue. This one's a little bit more affordable at the 120-ish mark. Really nice piece. Yeah. And then let's move on to our pre-orders. So we order a lot of things from Sideshow.
Wait, when are these coming in?
These will be here this week. So these are on a truck coming in.
You're killing me.
So if you are making up Christmas lists, hit me up. And I can, if you're not local, I can also ship to you as well. So yeah, definitely there's some fun stuff. So you guys definitely let us know what you think of these things in the comments. This is hilarious. What's up, Gordon? Say, I love that. That warms my heart on this cold Monday. So let's go with some pre-orders.
Going to the Bahamas, so
yeah, damn man,
his heart can be cold or warm, doesn't matter. He'll be basking in sunlight in 12 hours.
My goodness, yeah. All right, so shout out to Scott. Maybe we'll see him sometime online later on when he's all settled in. So let's go into some of the pre-orders. I don't know what order these are going to pop up in, so let's go. I'd love to hear your reactions, Rob, to some of these. This is Iron Studios Captain Carter, 1/10 scale, approximately $200 Canadian. I'm talking about Canadian prices here. We are a Canadian show, folks. So if you're in the US, do the math.
Don't freak out.
But this looks pretty cool. Yeah, we saw a whole bunch of other statues they dropped, so it looks like they're really leaning into the Disney Plus licenses. So this is really nice. I wonder if they're going to do a Hydra Stomper in scale. That would be hella cool. But this looks pretty good. Would you get something like this, Rob, or it's too much
like
out of your
it.
Right now?
I like the look of it. I like these Iron Studio statues. But I've got like the Batman one that they did. The Keaton 89 Batman. I'm not a fan of the What If line of stuff. So I think it looked great. I personally wouldn't get it, but I know a lot of people really enjoyed the What If series, and so I think it looks great. And listen, as a guy, I have, like I said, the Batman 89 from Iron Studios. I love that. I mean, it's just a great statue.
Yeah.
Right?
They're smaller statues,
and they're affordable, but they look great.
Yeah. So these are really good. I like that they're doing all these different figures from these lines. So that's the Captain Carter. I don't know if you're familiar with this character at all, Rob. It's from a video game.
No, I am not.
No? Okay. Can I entice you to buy this statue? Let me show you a couple pictures, folks. Get at us in the comments. So this is Ivy from a game called Soul Calibur, a really popular fighting game. I don't know if you can maybe tell why she's so popular, but maybe it's the hair.
The way she swings her sword.
Yeah, maybe. But okay. Okay, maybe we know. But let's move on. So this is Walking Dead. I'm not familiar with this character, Maggie Reed.
Yeah, it's Maggie from The Walking Dead. It's Glenn's former love interest.
Yeah. So if you guys, so you're familiar with the show, how do you like this likeness of this character? I've got a couple more close-up shots.
It's Lauren. I can't remember her name, but yeah, it's decent actually. The likeness isn't that bad at all.
Yeah. So this is a different company. This is 3A. Normally I show off stuff from Hot Toys. 3A is stepping it up. Normally they do kind of robotic Transformers stuff and video game stuff, but now it looks like they're stepping into the arena and doing a lot of kind of live action stuff. So this is interesting that they're doing The Walking Dead. Maggie will cost you around $200 Canadian, and comes with all the accessories I had in the picture over there. Different guns, different hands, no different head sculpts though, but these are the 1/6 scale, kind of almost like dolls, you would call them. So very posable, cloth, and all that kind of stuff.
Sweet.
So looks pretty good if you're a Walking Dead fan. Dune. Yeah, no, sorry, Scott. I don't think we're doing any Dune coverage today, so I think you are safe. Sarah says the worst.
What you mean that the? Well, I don't know if she means the if she
the character,
the sculptor. I don't know what she's talking about.
Is she a terrible character in the show?
I gave up after season 5 or something, so I don't know.
Okay, so we don't know the fate of this character, but I'm sure maybe Sarah can jump in. So this is a new Halo, Master Chief versus I don't know how to pronounce that, Escharum diorama. This is one of the big boys. Yeah, this is one of the big boys. This is made by Gaming Heads. It's in 1/8 scale. It's around the $700 mark. So this is a bigger piece. It's kind of a diorama piece, so you do need a lot of space to kind of display something like this. But this looks pretty good. Halo's really hot right now. Everyone's playing the new beta that's out now. So shout outs to that. Would you ever buy a Halo statue, Rob, or not really your jam?
I really loved. I had the original Xbox and the 360. I loved playing Halo. Would I buy the statue? Probably. I don't know if I would get this one. I probably would get like a Master Chief stuff. Yeah, I like the design of it. I would. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. So now we're on to Hot Toys. So obviously, with all this Spider-Man hype, we have a new Spider-Man integrated suit. I don't remember. It says No Way Home. So this is from the new movie, right?
Yeah.
So so this one, how close do you think that looks to Tom Holland? You guys in the comments, let us know.
I think it looks
good, right?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
So let me just check on Tom Holland here. So this one actually comes in 2 formats. This will come in a regular version, which I'm showing some of the pictures here. So this is the regular version, comes with that head and accessories. So it's got a little cell phone, all the different eyes that you can put on the spider mask to make them making different expressions. And then there is going to be a deluxe version, which comes with this extra head with the mask is partly pulled off. Kind of neat if you're setting up scenes and dioramas in your display. And then it does come with this crazy Doc Ock
that's cool
base that comes with all pumpkin bombs and all kinds of stuff in there. I don't know if we can see the reflection of any characters that we haven't been spoiled yet, but that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And then this is all the other extra items. So the regular one is going to cost you about $370-ish, and then you're going to have to pay an extra. I don't want to do the math, but $550 for the deluxe version. I'm sure Lewis is already calling dibs on the deluxe.
He did.
Yeah, I saw it right
he
there.
Did. He did.
Right here. Right here. So yeah. So Sarah says, yeah, that looks like Tom. Scott says, not a terrible Tom. Yeah. So some of these figures, the likeness is going to depend on the angle that you see the figure at. So sometimes actors and actresses, I guess, only get filmed from certain angles. So when you see them from weird angles that you'd never see them from, maybe it doesn't look familiar. Who knows?
I think it looks good. Yeah.
And then this, Rob, we're into your jam here. So Steppenwolf, or Stephen Wolf, as we like to call him, from Prime One Studios. So this is one of the Big Daddy statues here. This is the big one here. They're showing it off with the black suit Superman. I'll scroll through a couple more pictures here. So these things are humongous. I don't have the dimensions on me now, but these are usually almost 1/2 or 1/3 scale, I think.
Yeah, they're massive.
Maybe not quite 1/2, but these are humongous. So this guy's going to cost you about 2,000 Canadian. And there's a deluxe version that comes with a bunch of different arms. So you can see here, there's a different thing you can hold, like the cube. I forgot, what is this cube again?
The mother box.
The mother box.
Box.
Yeah, so then he's got a bunch of different arms and stuff like that. And that's going to cost you an extra $350 for those accessories. So I thought that would be a lot of fun there. So if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, let me know. But I just kind of wanted to see what you guys thought of that stuff, because it does affect what I might pre-order. So I definitely think I'm going to get some Hot Toys Spider-Man, and maybe pass on the Maggie, because I guess I thought people would be more into Walking Dead, but maybe that's kind of fading. But yeah, that's it for new stuff. Hopefully you guys
that was cool.
Gordon
that's
wants
cool.
Soul Calibur Ivy for Christmas. Hey, I can hook that up if you really want, Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not even going to touch that one. I'm just going to let that one go. So,
Oh man! All right, dirty jokes arise. Thank you, folks, for sticking me with for that. It's these statues are humongous. I've had the pleasure of opening a bunch of them to check for damages and just for my own enjoyment. But these statues are crazy from Prime One Studios.
Yeah,
So
I
if
have
you want to level up your collection,
yeah, I have a friend of mine, and John knows who I'm referring to, who collects a lot of these Prime One and Sideshow statues. He's got the half scales, the quarter scales, the third. These things are gorgeous. Like they're pieces of art. You sit there and you look at it. They're heavy as all hell. As much as I've always wanted to get one of those, I've just stayed away because my wife would just kill me for dropping that at this point in time. But yeah, it's a commitment. But they're gorgeous. They are worth the money if that is something that it really brings you a lot of joy to look at. They're awesome to look at.
Yeah. So cool. Thank you everybody for sticking with me for those pre-orders and pricey things. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's always fun to look at them, right? Let's kick it to Rob for the news. I don't know if you've got any news for this week.
I do. I also have a quick news for you, John. Spider-Man 3 sealed, brand new, Blu-ray.
Yeah.
eBay, $7.
$7. That's not bad. I'm gonna go dig up my copy and see if I can sell it for $7.
There's some pre-owned ones for $5, but whatever. All right. So yeah, hey John, are you a fan of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
I am, but I'm not as deep into it. Some of the younger cats. I think my generation just slightly missed it. I don't know how much of your generation got into it.
Not much at all, but we used to sell the cards when I was at the video store. The cards, the baseball cards, the gum inside of it. But I got some news for you. There's, if you remember a few years ago, Saban, which owned the rights to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, they sold it to Hasbro, and Hasbro was going to reboot the whole entire universe, a whole new movie and a TV series and everything. And it's been kind of quiet the last couple of years. Well, word came down recently that they have signed a deal with Netflix. So all future shows and movies that will all somewhat be tied in together in this massive Power Ranger universe will all be newly produced and will be streaming on Netflix. No word on when that will actually happen, but I guess they were looking for a distribution partner to be able to get that stuff out. So my understanding is now that has been sealed. We know that there's work on the movie was being done. The script is I think it's already done. So they are probably going to start filming maybe in 2022 sometime. So look to your Netflix account for more Power Rangers information. John, do you know what time it is right now? It's reboot time, John.
Oh, okay.
It's reboot time. And we got
what are we rebooting this week?
Well, buddy, we got word last week that Warner Brothers has greenlit a reboot of the 1992 action hit Under Siege. That stars Steven Seagal.
Oh, Steven Seagal. Okay.
Yeah, now the movie is supposed to be released on HBO Max. It's directed by Indonesian filmmaker Timo Jahanto, who directed The Night Comes for Us and May the Devil Take You. And it's going to be written by Umar Alim, who wrote the assassin movie Kate, which is currently on Netflix. I've heard some decent things about it. I haven't watched it myself.
I was recommended that movie by a couple people. So
yeah, I heard it's pretty decent. I mean, he wrote it, so he didn't direct it, but he wrote it. Again, it has some buzz on it. No word if Seagal will reprise his role as Chef Casey Ryback.
We didn't even mention that when we heard Under Siege 2. I think we all just assumed he is not attached, but maybe he is. So I don't know. I guess Gordon was not a big fan of Under Siege.
I actually really liked the first Under Siege movie. Under Siege 2: Dark Territory was a tripe.
Okay, the second one was the same movie but a boat, or is the first?
No, the first one's on the boat. The second one was on the train. The train that was going through the tunnels. That's why they couldn't get the satellite signal, because they were heading dark territory.
Would you rather see an executive decision prequel?
I don't care, as long as Seagal still gets sucked out of that air tube. It's all that matters.
Did you ever watch his cop show? I kind of watched his cop show a little bit.
I watched
it was kind of semi-entertaining.
It was horrible. Yeah. No. So yeah, listen,
The rift has begun.
I quite enjoy Under Siege, the first movie. I think it's fun. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but those early Seagal movies, I'm a fan of Above the Law and Marked for Death and Out for Justice. So, Bobby Hoopo.
They're fun to watch. But yeah, when we talk about Spider-Man 3, we'll get to the fun, actually good watching, or fun actually like
it's
laughing
so bad
at watching.
Yeah. Last week we reviewed The Harder They Fall. If you missed our show last week, definitely go and check it out on the YouTube channel here. But you remember that Delroy Lindo played Bass Reeves. Marvel Studios confirmed last week that Delroy Lindo has now joined the Blade movie, starring Mahershala Ali in the title role. No word on what role Delroy Lindo will be playing. Production on this movie, I'm assuming, is starting fairly soon. I guess now, being that we're so close to December, we're probably looking sometime into the new year. John, I'm not overly familiar with the Blade comic property. I think I think a lot of people are probably more familiar with
there is a when now that you mention it, there is a mentor character that Blade kind of like learned the trade from. I forgot what his name, but he was
Whistler.
He was no. It's another character who was kind of like takes Blade in, and I think I mentioned him when we did the Blade 1 stuff or whatever.
I think you did.
But yeah, he could totally play that role. It makes me a little upset because that means there is definitely not Romeo Must Die 2 in production at the moment. So,
no,
but yeah, that's adding another very good actor kind of talent, like almost like a Hollywood royalty character to that movie. So sure, yeah, bring it on. I can't wait to hear him talking vampire slaying.
That'd be awesome. Speaking of Marvel, Kevin Feige announced that they are working with Scarlett Johansson on a top secret project, quote unquote, that is unrelated to the Black Widow character. Now, Scarlett was accepting an award, and Feige was there in attendance, and he spoke about the history of working with Johansson in the past and his excitement as to this new project. So, John, is Scarlett going to be going in front of the camera as a new character? Do you think it's more of an behind the scenes producing, or do you think she might be directing an upcoming project? What do you think?
When you watch Black Widow, it was very much, it looked was it just called Black Widow period, like nothing else? Black Widow, the quickening or something, I don't know.
But Black Widow, though, still not dead yet. Yeah.
I don't it very much seemed like she was passing this kind of action star torch to Florence, but you never know. She's still like a big draw. So if she is not being used in front of the camera a couple more times by Marvel or something like that, I don't know. I feel like after Black Widow was kind of overall disappointing, I would like to see one more run at it to kind of close it off properly. But you think she's going to play like a completely different Marvel character?
No, I think she'll be behind it. I think she'll produce and potentially direct a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
not a TV project.
Well, maybe, yeah, sure, it could be. It'd be a Marvel project. The only way she would be in front of the camera as a new character is if she's somehow introduced via the multiverse in a different fashion, right? So
yeah, but what if it was a TV show about the Black Widows?
Nope. No, I'm done. I couldn't give it flying fart. I'm done with that whole Black Widow stuff. I don't care. And finally, John, the last news of the night tonight. One of the greatest TV shows of all time. Returns
all time.
Of all time. One of the greatest TV shows of all time.
That's it.
It returns in February. Law and Order is coming back for its 21st season.
Dun, dun.
Now it'll be dropping on February 24th, 2022. No idea on who the cast is. Rumor is some old school cast members may be making a comeback. So 2 questions. 1, were you a fan of the original Law and Order? And number 2, if so, who would you like to see come back?
I'd have to see a cast list. I know my wife watches the show a lot.
Yeah.
I think she watches the Branch Law and Order SVU.
Yep. Okay.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was the guy who plays Kingpin, right? I forgot.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah. I really liked watching him on screen. He did that kind of like Columbo thing where he'd be like, "Oh yeah, okay, whatever."
He was Criminal Intent. It was
something like that, and then he'd be like, "Oh yeah, one more thing," and then he like kind of like he just Batman the crap out of everybody, which was hilarious. He just knew everything about everything. Yeah. So if they bring that guy back, that would be pretty funny. But yeah, unfortunately, I've never really been a huge fan because if you ever watch those episodes and it doesn't really have a resolution, Like
Yeah,
the person,
sometimes.
the good person, like loses the case at the end,
Yep.
and then they just
how
cut
the
to
law
black.
works sometimes,
I
John.
know, but it sucks. It sucks. Like, you know what I mean? I'm watching to be entertained. And I've heard like actors talk about how crazy that show is. Like, once you do a Law and Order, you can't do anything else because that's it. That's your schedule. You're filming that show nonstop. It's like it's more than a regular 9 to 5. It's like a 9 to 9 or whatever. You know what I call? Yeah. So,
yeah.
are you looking forward to
Oh
Law and
yeah,
Order
I
returning?
watched the original series. I used to watch them on reruns on A&E when they would play them like 4 times a day. I loved that. I loved, Chris Noth, with Lenny Briscoe, Benjamin Bratt when he took over, Jesse L. Martin. Anthony Anderson was in towards the later
Oh, really?
seasons. Yeah. Sam Masterson as D.A. McCoy. Like, I'm all for those guys. So whoever wants to come back, I'd be down for it. Obviously, yeah, Lenny Briscoe has passed on a number of years ago, so we're not going to see him or Dennis Farina. So I'd be down for that stuff, man. I'm a big original Law and Order fan, so I'm down. And I know that Sarah is like passing out of boredom, but that's all right, man. I'm excited for it, so we'll see what happens in February of 2024.
Did the CSI relaunch come back out yet or whatever?
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it, but now it's just called CSI Vegas. So yeah.
Okay, let's wake Sarah up and move on from Law and Order.
All right. So that's all we have for the news. And again, thanks everybody for tuning in, whether you are currently sleeping while we're doing this show, like some people, or you're tuning in later. Maybe you couldn't join us live tonight, and you're listening to us through your Apple, Spotify account, or watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, doing all that jazz. If you haven't watched the Heroes World main podcast, John, myself, and our ship steward, Stuart. I didn't think of that one before I said ship steward, Stuart. We reviewed a couple of things yesterday. We reviewed Ghostbusters Afterlife. It is chock full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, you may want to avoid it. But if you don't care about spoilers, then definitely give that a watch. As well, we reviewed the first episodes of both Cowboy Bebop, the live-action version, and Wheel of Time. So definitely check that out on the YouTube channels. And with that, we are moving on to Spider-Man. So we did a revisit, John, of all 3 Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. We're going to kick it off with the first one. Peter Spiderman
movies.
Attorney at Law. Spider-Man, directed by Sam Raimi from a script by David Cape, released May 3rd, 2002. Music by Danny Elfman, John, from Batman 89, Danny Elfman. A budget of $139 million. It brought in $821.7 million worldwide, and was the first movie to pass $100 million on the opening weekend, or a single weekend box office, with $114 million. I'll always remember reading the news about that on Monday morning. Made $114 million in 3 days. So this is the first one, Spider-Man. John, do you remember watching this movie? Do you have memories of seeing old Webhead on the screen for the first time?
Yes, we just rewatched this. You folks can go back. Where did we watch it? Did we watch it here on the Sidekick Show? We did, right? Or did we watch it on the Heroes World podcast? I think we watched it here.
We might have watched it here. Was it just in this? Was it September or something?
Yeah, I think for sure we watched it here. Yeah, so we did a revisit. I don't know if we were just on a Sam Raimi kick or we were just on a random Spider-Man. But yeah, I still thought it was fantastic. Kind of cheesy, old school superhero fun. I had compared it to like a newer Superman, the Christopher Reeve or Richard Donner Superman, but for the next jump in superhero movies. But when we start talking about some of the later ones, I'll admit some of the cheesiness, the slapstickiness of these types of superhero movies doesn't quite hold up so well. So this one, I thought this was great. William Dafoe as Green Goblin. Great. I know Fraser didn't like him as Green Goblin, but I think that performance alone allows this movie to stand up right now, just because it was a ton of fun to watch him. And did we talk a lot about Toby Maguire back then? I don't remember anymore. But his Peter Parker I thought was pretty cool. And I don't mind the costumes.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna throw up Fraser's comment here that he had gripes with Spider-Man. The web shooters were organic; they came from his wrists. So I don't remember us. I have for whatever reason I can't remember that we actually talked about this.
We did.
On the show.
You talked.
Okay.
You had an in-depth thing about the organic web shooters, which I didn't really notice as much in the second one, but I guess we'll wait till we talk about the second one.
Yeah, we didn't really, but yeah, look, it goes back to the fact that this movie, we were promised a Spider-Man movie for many, many, many years. I mean, I remember seeing the advertisement for the Canon movie. Spider-Man was like in space, and it was like coming soon. Spider-Man movie, a Canon movie, right? And you're like, what? You would see it in the Starlog magazine, and we always heard the rumors of James Cameron was working on a Spider-Man movie and all that shit, right? And so this one comes out.
Yeah.
And this one comes out, and it was unbelievable. I mean, we all rushed to the theater to see it. I was working in media at the time, and I got to go to we held the Toronto premiere for it. I was there. It was fantastic. Like, it was an experience to watch this movie. For me, it holds up. The one thing that I'll say about all three of them, and I'll just kick it off with this one though, is that the visual effects still hold up. Even though, like, when they're fighting, like, the characters look a lot more rounder than they do as more defined, but we're 20 years out since Spider-Man 1. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, CGI has advanced, but I still think that they look really good for what they're doing.
Yeah, it's fantastically old school, because that final scene, you can tell it's on some type of soundstage. It almost looks like it's almost like a play. Like, like it'd be like if we went to go see like a modern day play, they might have a set piece like that of a broken down building that falls over and stuff like that. Sarah shouts out Green Goblin's death by Goblin glider to the crotch, which always to this day still bothers me. They couldn't have raised it up a little bit.
Moved it up a little bit.
Yeah, just like a couple inches up higher, right, just so it looks a little less awkward. Kristen Dunst in the first movie. Do you remember much? If you liked her a lot in the first movie? I remember we kind of questioned the casting of this character.
I think in looking back on this, I think that this movie benefits from the nostalgia factor. The one thing about all three of these movies is that they are colorful. Like, they are bright. They look like comic book has come to life. Not colorful like the Batman Forever, the Joel Schumacher movies, where they were a lot of neon and like this. Just everything was just very visual and very bright and colorful, and everything pops. So I think this movie, we have a nostalgic itch that probably gives it and raises it up, because we had no Spider-Man before this. The last Spider-Man we had was like the Electric Company version, or Nicholas Hammond in those 78 CBS movies, right? So I think that we probably don't judge it fairly, because it is our cinematic Spider-Man, first time ever. But I still have to say, after watching all three of these again, I'm not a fan of Kirsten Dunst portrayal. I don't blame her. I think
it's the way they wrote. They wrote
the
that
character.
This particular Mary Jane is kind of, I would say, weak. Like, she's not as confident and kind of like badass as the comic book version, I find.
No, very self-conscious, not sure of herself in all three movies. She's not the greatest girlfriend either. Like, she's going on like macking out with Harry Osborn after her and Peter get into a fight. She plays a damsel in distress, and maybe we accepted that back then, but nowadays I think we're very used to seeing women kicking ass and holding their own, and to see this movie where you're reverting back to that damsel in distress and the constant screaming of falling and being taken and this and that. It was just kind of, it's just a different, it's a window into its time of 2002.
Yeah. So, and I think she has done a recent interview about her experience with it, which I think people should check out so they could see kind of her side of the story. I know one of the points was they wanted to fix her teeth. Telling her, and they just pulled up to a dentist, and they're like, "We're fixing your teeth," and she's like, "No, you're not. I didn't agree to this," which I think is good for her, that she didn't just kind of like bow to that pressure to have like this perfect smile. So shout outs to that. but yeah, I think Spider-Man 1 overall, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I
Yeah.
don't think there's any real issues with it.
Are you glad? You're glad about this version of Green Goblin coming back? We've seen him in the trailers for No Way Home, so we know that
for sure. Yeah, William Dafoe has just become like a phenomenal actor presence. Like in John Wick, he kind of steals the show whenever he's on screen. I'm trying to think of what even Aquaman. He was really good in Aquaman. Yep. We get to see a little bit of him in the Snyder Cut. So I definitely want to see more of him in a superhero movie. I think that's cool. So for sure, want to see him back in action.
Do you think it's weird that they've never recast another Green Goblin? We've never had another, like we've never had
with all these Spider-Man films,
Norman Osborn Green Goblin.
Yeah, but there is a Norman Osborn in the Amazing Spider-Man, is there not?
There is, yeah. But then his son takes over and it becomes the Green Goblin, which is a mess. But we've never had a Norman Osborn Green Goblin.
Yeah. And I don't think, have we ever had a Green Goblin with the traditional hair that he has in the comic books?
No, but you know what? If you like this original movie, they did do the makeup test with the old, like they had the animatronic with the purple hat and the bug eye and the face and all that stuff. So, but they went this route with the the armor. It was an interesting choice. Like as much as Fraser going back to his original comment about the organic web shooters, having Green Goblin have this armor, this Power Rangers type armor, was a different choice for sure. But I'm cool with it. So John, you're good with Spider-Man 1?
Yeah. I think we already covered Spider-Man 1.
Yeah,
I think we did. Yeah, if there was anything we missed in Spider-Man 1, but we've already talked about it. So go back and watch our Spider-Man 1 rewatch or re-review.
So then
let's talk a little bit more about 2 and 3.
Yeah, so number 2 comes out just 2 years later, John. It drops June 30th of 2004, directed again by Sam Raimi with a script by Alan Sargent, based on a story by your boys, John, Alfred Goh, Miles Millar, who are the Smallville dudes, and as well as Michael Chabon, who I believe is a comic book creator.
Chabon? Is that Chabon? A Michael Jackson lyric?
No.
Chabon.
I don't know, whatever. Danny Elfman returns for music. A budget of $200 million, John. So they upped it by almost $61 million, and actually grossed less. It only grossed $789 million worldwide. Obviously, Spider-Man 2. A lot of people consider this to be the comic book movie of the modern age. So, Spider-Man 2. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So this is the problem with that title and that kind of like praise for it is when you go back and watch it, there's an expectation that this is going to either blow you away or just be everything you remembered it to be. And when I compare it to number 1, I actually like number 1 better. I found 2 extra cheesy. With some of the lines and setups they had, it was a little bit over the top, I feel, and there was a whole bunch of like directions they started going that they kind of just drop off, like the whole thing with his landlord, and then I think the landlord has a
Rent.
And then he's kind of like hanging out with her for a couple scenes, and then she just kind of disappears for the rest of the movie and stuff like that. So for some reason, number 2 didn't hit me as hard as number 1. Like I enjoyed number 1 for its kind of like throwback feel, but number 2, I don't know if it's just because of that expectation, or maybe the fact that I'm not as into this villain, the
Doc
Ock. Yeah.
Yep.
While he was cool, I didn't find him as entertaining as like someone like a William Dafoe. So I don't know. Do you still think it takes the top spot? I feel like no. Like other than like towards the end where he's kind of doing the whole saves the train scene, and there's some epic stuff that goes on there. But before that, it's kind of all over the place. It felt for me.
I really liked Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. I mean, this is a theater trained actor who was very well known for a lot of dramatic roles when he made movies, more independent stuff, but he was mostly a Broadway guy. To see him step into the role of a villain and to be Doc Ock, and that interpretation I thought was great. He pulled off the crazy as well as the kind of the goofy. when he drops Aunt May after robbing the bank, he's like, "Oops, Butterfingers!" Like it made me laugh. Like the tentacles were all. This is the one thing I really liked about number 2 is that a lot of it was practical effects. We've seen the behind the scenes of the people in the green suits. Puppetry is what it was. It was puppetry with the
Muppets.
tentacles.
They were
right?
metal. They were metal killer Muppets.
Yeah, I liked his take on Doc Ock. I thought he was a really good foe for Peter Parker. I agree, though, that this movie really upped the cheesiness. The dialogue in this movie is a little bit atrocious at times. I sent you a text message, and I was like, Mary Jane's an idiot. I was like, first of all, she gets mad. She gets mad at Peter, and she's going to get
We're not
married.
going to a show yet.
Yeah, for not going to the show because he has problems, making keeping appointments, and she gets mad. She goes, "I'm getting married, Peter, in a church," and I was like, "What the hell? Like, who gives a shit? Where are you getting married? Get married at City Hall? I don't give a crap. Like, why do you have to accentuate the fact that it's a church? Does that mean it's like a for real marriage?" I didn't understand that line. I don't understand why she made that. Why that was such an important thing. I found that this movie was bloated. And I can assure you that if I found this movie to be bloated, I found number 3 to be really extra bloated. But number 2, I felt there's a lot going on. So not only do you have Doc Ock as your villain, you've got, Peter trying to balance being Spider-Man and Peter Parker at the same time. He's pining over a lost love that he can't seem to be able to get. He's worried about his, people coming after him through her. But then you have this whole loss of powers and him questioning whether or not he can be Spider-Man. Then you have the whole Spider-Man no more storyline thrown in there. This reminded me as I was watching it, I was like, this is like Superman 2.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Superman 1 with the first Spider-Man. Like this is very much like Superman 2, where he decides he wants to have a life with Lois Lane and he decides to give up his powers. In this one, the powers kind of give up on him, so to speak. But it's
they cut out.
Right?
He had a bad internet connection with his power.
Yeah, and they were like, like the dial-up stopped, and he had to hit the reboot on the modem. But it took a long time. And then there was a whole thing about with him going back to university, with Doc Connors. Like you had the promise of you saw Kurt Connors. Like, oh shit, we're gonna get a lizard at some point. Yeah, there's a lot put into this movie. No, there's a lot put in this movie, and I think, to be very honest with you, it was too much. Like that train scene, like this movie is like well over 2. It's like 2.25 or 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think. That train scene was like was within the last half hour. There's a lot to get to that train scene.
Yeah, I feel like if this movie was tighter, yeah,
and then the whole Harry Osborn discovering the stuff about his dad, right? Like, think about all the stuff that this movie had to deal with.
Was he a bigger jerk in this movie or the other movie? This movie, he's like buying the company and he's like telling Doc Ock to shut it down. Like he's so bossy in this movie.
Yeah, he was. He was acting like a complete douche because he was like, I'm the head of Oscorp and we'll see you in Switzerland, Norman. I'm going to get the Nobel Prize in Science. What do you think that means? Anything to you? It means nothing to you. Shut up.
Yeah. Man. I want to shout out this scene that Gordon's mentioning, which is when they're trying to remove the arms from Doc Ock. This is an extremely dark and violent scene because all the doctors or whoever they are, very grossly murdered. There's like a girl that gets dragged along the floor screaming,
and her fingernails are
and she's pulling. I was like, this is dark. If kids watch this and actually think about what's happening to these characters, or do you think the comedy part of it was just too over? When I was watching it, I was like, damn, this is scary.
No, I thought that was good. I think you needed that. I think you needed to show the villainy of it all, the seriousness. Again, Raimi was really good at being a theater of the mind. So yes, you see the pulling of her, being dragged by the tentacles, but then it's all on shadows. It's all shadows being broadcast on the wall, right? And you see things happening, and then you see like the bone saw going up in the air and like that, and you can hear the blood. Like a lot of that was just so theater of the mind or broadcast in shadows that you didn't get to see a lot of it. But it was so well done. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. And then I also want to mention this comment from Sarah that says it feels
Thanks,
like it's
Scott.
written
Have
by
a good safe flight, buddy.
Yeah. That it's written by people who don't know women, and I think that's 100% correct. Like the way they wrote females in some of these movies is actually really atrocious. Now that you watch it, you just cringe and you're like, really? That's what you thought like these characters would do? Like they couldn't do anything else? Like it's it's really bad. So
and that's why I
like
say that I think that the modern day movies that we're getting, especially the MJ that we've been getting in these MCU movies, a vastly different portrayal.
Yep.
Right. And I'm not sure what Sarah's thoughts are on how the modern day Mary Jane, or MJ, I guess, is portrayed, but vastly different than Kirsten Dunst. Again, not the damsel in distress, right? That needs help and saving all the time. What did you think though of now you've got Peter Parker out of high school into university, kind of grown up?
Yeah, I think that's one of the elements that I did kind of like. Like we've seen a lot of Peter Parker in high school and as a youngin. So it was nice to see a grown up Peter Parker on his own, but they always kind of like to put him in this very impoverished role, which kind of like is sometimes really rough to see. Like I think when he's got like Aunt May gives him like $20 and then the landlord takes it from him.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it's this one or the third one where he doesn't even have his own phone. He has to go use like a payphone.
The next one, number
outside.
3. Yeah.
And then he's also sharing the bathroom with I guess that's just
the family.
Those places where it's rough to see, but it does add a comedy element to it, but it kind of sucks that Peter has to deal with all these things on top of being a superhero. Sometimes you just want to see him being a superhero.
So does this movie though? So again, a lot of people always look at Spider-Man 2 as being like the pinnacle of modern day comic book movies. I'm gathering from your opinion that you don't really think that kind of holds anymore.
I don't think it is, and I think back then I actually liked the first one more originally as well.
So do you think that they cut a lot of if they had trimmed this down?
If they tightened this one up and got rid of some of these like really over the top, I should have wrote it down, but there was like just some of the dialogue. I think you mentioned it as well, and just some of the things that happened were just like a little bit too much. So I think if you cut, like you said, this is 2 hours and change or something like that.
Yeah, it's a long movie. Yeah. And what about the death, another death of another Spider-Man villain?
Yeah, and like I was okay with it. I didn't really care for this character, so I was like, I think he walks into the ocean or whatever.
No, he falls.
Sinks.
He falls.
He sinks. Yeah, he kind of sinks. Yeah, it sinks away. I was okay with it. I didn't really care for this character that much.
All right. If anybody else has any other comments, let us know in the chat before we move on to Spider-Man 3. But suffice to say, I enjoyed it. I think there's a lot in this movie that I really. A scene with Joel McHale from Community. He was the bank manager who was not approving Aunt May's loan to her house and stuff like that. I don't see any other comments coming through. Okay, cool. So we are then going to move into 3 years later with Spider-Man 3, which was released May 4th, 2007. Again, obviously not a surprise, written by Sam Raimi. A script by himself and his brother Ivan, as well as Alan Sargent returned. Who didn't return, though, John, was Danny Elfman. He did not return to do the score on this movie. Apparently, he and Sam Raimi did not get along very well on Spider-Man 2. And Danny Elfman called it a miserable working experience.
Oh, wow.
Yes, he actually despised working with Raimi. So Christopher Young stepped into the role of musical chores. Budget. Now get this, John. So the first budget, like I said, was 139 million. They went up to 200 million. This one went from 258 up to 350 million. There's a huge discrepancy. I don't know why. But I'm just going to go for the long because there's a lot of reshoots happen on this movie. So I'm going to say 350 million budget. It brought in $894.9 million. Now, originally, Raimi wanted the Vulture to appear. That was going to be played by Ben Kingsley. But that idea was shot down by Avi Arad. Yeah, that was shot down by Avi Arad, the producer, who was getting quite upset, saying that Raimi only wanted to use his favorite villains and not more modern ones that the comic book fans would know and love. They didn't care about an old white guy in a Vulture suit. So Avi really pushed, and this is why we get the Venom introduction into this movie. And actually, when I said about movie being bloated, this movie was so bloated that Alan Sargent tried to potentially split this into 2 different movies, and he just couldn't find a proper point in the script in which to do that to make 2 successful movies, like a part 1 and part 2. So they just threw everything but the kitchen sink into Spider-Man 3. So what do you think, bud?
Yeah, so Spider-Man 3 is very fresh in my mind because I just kind of watched most of it today. I did skip over certain parts and stuff like that. But I feel like if there exists some type of Raimi cut or something like that, maybe there's a good movie in here. I don't know. But
I
like the
don't think so.
first 20 minutes or so, I feel like it was actually looking pretty promising. You're watching it. There's a lot of like the special effects and stuff like that look really good. Spider-Man looks really good swinging around. His life's kind of like, I think he kind of gets his life together a little bit. And then right when out of nowhere they just inject Topher Grace to, I guess, lay the groundwork for Venom, the movie just goes all over the place. Like there's all over the place. There's like people getting married. There's like giving them the key to the city. There's like multiple villains. They've got this whole very serious Sandman walking around. Shoutouts to, I don't know what the actor's name, Lowell
Thomas
from
Hayden
Wings.
Church. Yeah, Thomas Hayden Church.
He looked awesome. Like he got
he
jacked.
did, but he looked like he had massive like lipstick thing going on. I was like, what is happening with his lips? He always looked like he had blush on his cheeks and like lipstick on. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. So he looked pretty funny. I thought it was really funny. He breaks into his house to get the ugliest striped shirt that you could find. but that's Sandman's shirt. But it was just a really, and he's got a bunch of them too. I think he like thumbs through and there's like 2 or 3 of them. He grabs one out. So it's like this was his go-to shirt before he went back to jail.
Favorite shirt.
But yeah, there's way too much going on. So much so that Venom is very humorous to see added, like sprinkled in. It's almost like, you know when people had that theory of tag that Hannibal Buress was like edited in, like if they just all of a sudden came up with the same theory that they just edited in Venom to be in these other shots. Yeah. Like even Gwen Stacy is in this one, shows up. Like it's really
Bryce
funny.
Dallas Howard. Her dad was Captain Stacy, James Cromwell, right?
Like, I recognized him. Yeah.
This movie is. Sorry, Clay.
It's a disaster. But this is where it gets to the point where it's so bad that it's funny. So when it gets to this scene that Sarah's talking about, which is Toby dancing, the whole sequence of him walking around, like kind of like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? And like he's talking to all these women and getting them to do stuff. I think at one point in the restaurant, he wants a table and there's no table, and he hands a tip to this girl and he goes, "What can you do for me? Hot legs or something like that?"
Yeah.
Which wholly inappropriate, but it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
The way that he carries himself, so much so that it's just comical to see that this exists. And his hair is absolutely hilarious. He's got like this weird, like
the emo
floppy,
Spider-Man.
Yeah, this floppy side comb over. So I feel like this movie for entertainment value is kind of worth watching.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So this carries on the tradition, John, of being a Superman ripoff, because this is another incident where their main character, something happens to him and he starts to take a turn to the dark side. Much like Superman 3, when he had that tobacco kryptonite and he turned into the Dark Superman. You remember?
That was the best. He was like knocking over parking mirrors.
Yeah,
and like I think he was he flicking peanuts and destroying things, like sitting at the bar.
This is like the parallels to me were like I never really considered it. I don't remember ever thinking about it before, but like watching, going, holy shit, this is like another, like it's Superman 1, Superman 2, Superman 3 themes that are dropped into these movies. This one is super bloated. Again, you've got like these are monumental storylines. You've got the black suit spider, the black suit symbiote that's dropping down. You've got Kurt Connors again. It's still not turning into the lizard.
Still not lizard.
Right.
His cast should say whatever the actor's name, not lizard.
Not lizard. Robbed. You've got the emo Peter Parker with the eyeliner. You can see the eyeliner on his eye. I was like, what?
He was funny. I think at one point he sits at J. Jonah Jameson's desk and puts his feet.
Yeah, he puts his feet up on the table. Yeah. You've got the silly dancing shit. Now, here's the thing. Like I saw something in the comments saying like, yeah, I like I think it was Sarah. I liked the Sandman actor, but not as a villain. The problem is that he probably had the most interesting storyline. Robbing banks and everything to be able to afford the surgery for his kid because she's got a health condition. He is super underutilized in this movie. that he's tortured. He's a tortured soul who, I don't know why there's a testing facility within running distance of New York.
It was hilarious.
And he falls into
so
the
much
pit.
money. They didn't have a camera on the pit.
Yeah,
they just were going blind.
Like, oh, it must be a fly. I'm sure that it'll or a bird. It'll get out of there once it starts going. But I was just like, but he was just so tortured, and yet he was just such a throwaway character. I actually really hated the fact that they retconned him to be the person that murdered Uncle Ben. Like, that really pissed me off. Like, you had messaged me, like, no, it was his partner, and we just saw number one, the blonde hair dude. No, they retconned it to make him the guy that, like, there was no need for that. But I would have preferred to have him be the villain. Like, I think he would have been a really good villain, the tortured hero. And then you also have the whole Harry Osborn, once again, having the accident, right? Like, getting into the fight. He made a hoverboard now. Now he's the Green Goblin with a hoverboard because it's the X Games in the sky. Right? And he loses memory. And then, him and MJ are hanging out because Peter's upset with her. Or she's upset with Peter, and then she starts like making out with him, and then he remembers everything, and he goes and tries to like he holds her. He essentially forces her to break up with him, but like he's like 600 yards away, John. They're on a bridge, and she's telling him it has to be over. Like, you don't think she can be like, she knows he's down there by the tree. You don't think she's like, Peter, seriously, we're in trouble here.
No, it's also very weak writing again on Mary Jane. Like, she just accepts it and goes, okay.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So it was really like, I was overall disappointed because I really wanted to see the black suit. I have the black suit on the wall here somewhere, the first appearance of the black suit. Like, I wanted to see that. And then to know that they just did is they took the actual costume and they just dyed it black. Like, they didn't make it different, really. I wanted to see that white symbol. Like, would it have been that difficult to make the symbol white? You've already got.
No, it's like they just poured. They poured
just,
like
and that's all they
dyed
did.
it, and they were like, it came out all black, good enough. Let's go.
And I gotta tell you, like, the Spider-Man's, like, the webs, they were so plasticky looking. Like, when they're lying on the web looking at the shooting stars, like, it just.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get a hammock that was more convincing. I think there's one point where Venom and Sandman make a sign that says "Come stop us, Spider-Man," or whatever.
Yeah,
and it looked so bad. Like, come on, guys.
So here's the thing that I've learned that I actually do not like, and I don't want to see it ever again. Fake reactions from people looking up at superheroes fighting. That actually drives me crazy. But even on top of that, why do you bring your kids to a superhero fight? There's those kids. The parents have got those kids down there, and then they're watching the Spider-Man, and they're all fighting, and then they start making out. He starts making out with, he's like, the kids are like covering their eyes and stuff. And number three, like, what type of responsible parent brings their kids to like a battle between Spider-Man and two villains, like, where you could potentially be killed? Like, buildings were falling on people, John. Like,
people did dumb stuff. Like, there was a point where Gwen Stacy's in the building and there's this big steel girder coming at the window, and then everyone walks up to the window. I'm like, there's a big steel girder coming at the window.
Yeah.
I feel like you should back up.
Yeah. No. And that was the thing. When did Gwen Stacy become a model? Like, was that part of the original 60s? Because all of a sudden she was a model doing the
Mary
MJ
Jane becomes a model.
Supposed to be the model, right? So I didn't understand this. The whole bar scene where Peter is like, Mary Jane goes up to sing, and then all of a sudden he starts playing the piano, and then he starts spinning on the chair, right? Like,
that's the dance scene that Sarah's talking about, which is hilarious. Like, so someone sat there on set and they did it, and it must have taken multiple takes, and they were like, yeah, it's good, keep going, let's go with this. This is the way we want it. This is the way we'd want to do it. And he kind of does like this weird hip thrusting dance to it. He's like, dude, and you're just like, what is this? But apparently he made the final cut.
So let me ask you though, like, Toby Maguire is a good actor. Like,
is he?
No, I think he is. But do you think, like, when these actors are told, okay, this is what you need to do, like, do you ever think, like, we were like going, what am I doing? Like, why?
No, they're probably on the set of a superhero film, and they're like, oh man, this is fantastic fun. I'm gonna get to dance now. They're gonna comb my hair differently. I'm gonna get to finger points to everybody.
I think that the true hero of Spider-Man 3 was Harry Osborn's butler, Bernard. Or Bernard,
that was the worst. He withheld information that could have solved it. He's like, also the worst actor on the planet when he's delivering, like, sir, I cleaned your father's wounds, and it was from his own glider.
Yeah.
So he died by his I was like, who's delivering this line? What happened? Did they just add this in last minute? I'm like, and you didn't think you could say this earlier because it would have solved like 90% of the tension. Other than Harry just constantly trying to steal Peter's girl, which is actually pretty humorous. But this guy withheld the most important piece of information, and now Harry is like this disfigured mess.
Right, yeah. I mean, he had the eyelid that was covering it on the one after he got into the one accident, and all of a sudden then he became like scarred and I don't know. I this whole thing was a disaster. Topher Grace was a disaster. I don't know if it's his fault. I don't know. The Venom was just, it was silly. It made no sense why he became Venom. Maybe the greatest part of this movie was when Peter's trying to rip off the black suit symbiote, and he's stretching it and trying to pull it off, and it keeps hitting him, and then it falls. First of all, Eddie Brock must have the greatest eyesight, because in a church with, I don't know how high up that damn bell tower was, and he asked God, please, I just asked for one thing, please kill Peter Parker. And then he hears a screaming of the symbiote, and he looks up and he can see all the way to the top, and he can see tiny little Peter Parker face. And he's like, Peter Parker? Like that. I'm like, get out of here. What do you got, bionic eyes all of a sudden? You're the $6 million man? I'm not believing this shit. So, yeah. Screw you, Spider-Man 3.
I don't know if I found it entertaining because I haven't seen it since it dropped in theaters way back in 2007. So I had a little bit of interest, but I think you can definitely watch that scene where he starts with the dancing and the strutting around, because that is hilarious to see.
Well, and I love how
it's 100% evil Superman scene mirrored.
Yeah,
but less evil, because he's not breaking anything. He's just acting like a d-bag.
Oh, he killed Sandman. That was on the train scene where he's got his face like he was a pretty vicious, Spider-Man. It was so funny, man. Eddie Brock, he fakes that picture of Spider-Man, and then Peter's like, I'm gonna sell you out. He's like, please, man, please don't do that. Please. Get out of here, Eric. You're back to the crib in the basement.
Yeah, you dumbass.
So that's Spider-Man 3, man.
What, how do you rank them? I feel like it's pretty obvious, but how do you rank them?
I know what you're doing. You're doing in numerical order, 1, 2, and 3.
I was tempted to bump 3 up just for its comedic rewatchability, but I don't think I'm ever going to be able to turn that thing back on. At least Spider-Man 1, I think I'm going to be able to at least maybe watch it one more time. 2, it's going to take a lot for me to go back to that one. Maybe something that happens in this new movie, but 3, 2 and 3, I could probably lose my discs or whatever, or they disappear from streaming. I wouldn't be too upset.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm probably gonna go with 2, 1, 3. I do like number 2. Again, it's bloated, it's got the problems, but I do. When May's telling the story about how Ben pulls up, she goes, well, he asked me a couple times and I kept saying no. I'd be like, fuck, I am not asking you again. We're out. I'm done. I am not chasing after this bitch. But and then you bring out the ring and she's like, and I thought it was the sun. No, you didn't. Not at all. But I would go number 2. I really liked Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. I thought it was a lot, because now we've already fleshed out the origin. We don't have to try everything out, although you're kind of revisiting it again because he's lost his powers. But he was a lot more Spider-Man in number 2 than in number 1. So I'm going to go with number 2, 1, and 3. Yeah.
All right. So interesting. Yeah. Anyone in the comments, if you want to give us your in order, and I assume Spider-Man 3 is going to be at the bottom of everybody's list. So we only really want to know what's better for you, 1 or 2.
You never know. Some people might really like number 3.
All right. So how much of this do you think is going to translate into the new movie? Is it just going to be these characters that we've seen spoiled so far? Do you anticipate anybody else? Do you think Kurt Connors is going to finally make his appearance as the proper lizard?
No, you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna see that lizard from Amazing Spider-Man, and you're gonna see him walk. He's gonna be like, "Come on!" He's gonna be in the movie.
And in the credits again, he's gonna be not lizard.
Yeah. Yeah. See, Sarah likes number 3 the most. I knew she did. Yeah.
It looks like 213 is the general consensus. Other than Sarah, who's just effing around, I assume.
Yeah, so there we are. Yeah, I don't know. I think from the Raimi trilogy, well, we know we're gonna get all 3 villains. We're gonna get the Green Goblin, we're gonna get Doc Ock, and we're gonna get the Sandman. It's there. So
yeah.
I don't think
so.
We'll see any other villain.
No Topher Grace returns as Venom for sure.
No, and what happened to him, by the way? Again, here's another 2 more villains that are dead. Like Spider-Man is he's got his ledger is full of red.
His body count.
Yeah. First of all, what happened to Venom? Like when he was, he's off, and then he throws the pumpkin bomb, and Topher Grace jumps into it, and it explodes, and the symbiote is gone. And so where'd they go? Did they go to another dimension? Maybe they're coming.
No one cares. No one cares.
Maybe they're coming.
Everyone's just happy that the movie ends, but it would be funny as hell to see Topher Grace show up in this new movie.
him and Tom Hardy Venom going fighting each other. I think that'd be pretty hilarious. So that's it, man. That's our revisit of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. We all know he was supposed to do a number 4. But Sony went in a different direction, and I guess that's what we're going to be going on next week. So join us next week as we revisit the Mark Webb Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, where Andrew Garfield steps into the role of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I know, John, you are super stoked to be watching these movies.
I might have to call in a sub for this one. I don't know if I want to rewatch these Andrew Garfield movies, but I'll entertain the idea. So hopefully you guys are along for this Spider-Man ride. And then we'll finally get to the newer Tom Holland stuff, I guess would be our final Spider-Man episode.
Yeah, I'm just going to double check. I'm pretty sure that Amazing is, it's definitely on streaming. I feel like
okay,
it's on
so
Netflix.
Rob's going to double check that. Thank you everybody for always tuning in and having some fun with us. Hopefully you liked reminiscing about Spider-Man era 2002 to 2007. The Heroes World podcast coming up this weekend. I think we're talking new He-Man is out this week. So yes. Second part of the Revelations animated series. We're going to probably try and tank all those episodes, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then we also are going to get the new Disney Plus series Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So very much set in the Christmas time, a la Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see if maybe this becomes Marvel's definitive Christmas movie. Does Marvel have another Christmas movie? I don't think so, right?
Iron Man 3.
Oh, Iron Man. No one counts Iron Man 3. So this will maybe be Marvel's first real
Get out of here
movie.
It's a Shane Black Christmas movie, man. Yeah, so definitely you're gonna want to tune in. I'm excited to see what Hawkeye delivers. I'm excited for all 5 episodes of He-Man dropping on Tuesday. So we'll see about how that goes. The Amazing Spider-Man is currently streaming on Netflix. So you can check it out there. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a little bit more difficult to watch. However, the CTV app or website, you can actually have old shows and old movies that you can stream for free. It is there. It has ads every 20 minutes or half hour, whatever, but
every 20 seconds.
But you can watch Amazing Spider-Man 2 if you really feel like it on the CTV app. And again, it's free. You can do it on the website or through an app of your service choice, whatever. But the CTV movies
or
app.
Rob's going to do a really good summary of it because maybe I won't even be able to watch them. So
I just watched them a little while ago. So
we're going to try and catch you guys all up so you're able to watch the new No Way Home. Is it Long Way Home? No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Damn these weird titles. But I look forward to revisiting the Tom Holland stuff. I feel like I did really enjoy them, but I haven't seen what's the middle one.
Homecoming. Well, there's only 2.
No. Yeah, Homecoming.
There's Homecoming and then Far From Home.
Far From Home. Yeah. I haven't seen Far From Home since it hit the theaters, so I don't know if I'm as big a fan of it as I thought I was. So I guess put a lot of Spider-Man on deck. And if you guys want to watch something else, then let me know. We're trying to do our plans for Christmas. My daughter is trying to pull my head off here. But I think Rob's going on vacation at some point, so we might have to do some substitute episodes.
That's
so maybe,
not until the end of December, but I'm just checking to see because I know Gord would probably Under Siege is not streaming anywhere. That's too bad because I know Gord would probably really like to watch that one. So definitely tune in next week again. Thanks everybody who tuned in today. Amazing Spider-Man 2 next Monday, 8:15 p.m. Right here on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. The Heroes World Sidekick Show next Sunday. The main show, as John said, Hawkeye. Episode 1 and 2, and probably the last of the 5 He-Man revelations. Sorry. And then don't forget, Andre and our good friend Jesse are doing a really cool shit with TGIF, and they're showcasing a lot of cool books that have been coming out and whatnot. So you definitely want to go check that out. And keep your notifications on, your notification bells and everything else, because you never know when some trailers are dropping that we'll do some reactions on.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, everybody in the comments. Get at us if
and hit the bell.
Thank you. Yeah, we're looking to fill up the Christmas schedule, so let us know what your favorite Christmas movies are, and then we'll take them into consideration. I don't know if we're just gonna watch Die Hard 4 times in December. I don't know. Jingle All the Way definitely should be on there.
Oh no, not at all. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will definitely do a 1 or 2 Christmas movies. We'll definitely be doing that before the holidays. But again, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate your time. I hope you all had fun. Thanks for visiting Spider-Man with us. Until next week.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rob.